Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to our YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Please feel free to write me at walkwithtak@gmail.com if you have any question regarding this video or any video that I have posted in the past. If you have any videos that you would like me to make, please let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. This video is a good example that I created in response to a viewer's questions. The question from the viewer is that when should you make a sauce for stir frying? It's just a very interesting question because stir frying with such large degree of flexibility, you can create a stir fry dish with almost no sauce at all, or you can create a stir fry dish with a lot of sauces. Now, in most Chinese restaurants in the United States, they create a heavy sauce for their dish. That is a very traditional for Chinese American food. But stir frying in different parts of China has a very different approach. In some part of China, they will have a heavy sauce, but most of the time, most stir frying dishes, as far as I can remember, is that the sauces is usually to be very light. The reason is very simple, because a sauce has a powerful impact on the outcome of a dish. When you have a heavy sauce, it will dictate the flavor of the dish. And in this case, the natural flavor of the fresh ingredients in the dish will become less prominent. So for this reason, it is important to consider what the purpose of your dish, and you can decide how you want to create a sauce. Now, this viewer asked me is that he said he would like to try a dish with sauce that are similar to those created in typical Chinese American dishes. And in here, I want to demonstrate to you the different approach and how you can go from a dish with almost no sauces at all to a dish with a lot of sauces, and how using different approach can lead to a very different culinary experience that you might want to explore and find out what might be best suitable for you. I think for most people, with time goes by, you will find that the dish with a light sauce is actually better than a dish with heavy sauce. But it doesn't matter because you can always make adjustment. The key is that you can always start out with a dish with light sauce and then move to a dish with heavy sauce. Here is an example. I have cooked a dish with beef that contains mushroom, pepper, as well as some scallion. This dish actually has a very light sauce. In fact, the sauce of this dish comes from oyster sauce and hoisin sauce that I use to season the dish. Oyster sauce and hoisin sauce are already contain thickening agents. So when you use oyster sauce and hoisin sauce, you don't have to worry about actually to create a sauce as long as you do not want to have a heavy sauce. However, if you do want to use a heavy sauce, which I'm going to show you in the second part in cooking this dish, because ultimately I want to combine this dish with some green bean. Now obviously I cook the two part of this dishes separately because the beef takes a very little time to cook, whereas the green bean takes much longer time to cook in order to cook to the texture that I want. So I cook them separately. So in the second part of this dish, I cook the green bean with yellow squash. And my goal is that I'm going to cook this to the texture that I want, and I will then combine them together to create one single dish. Now the single dish that I'm going to create, I'm going to use a heavy sauce. Now the heavy sauce has one distinct advantage, and this is the reason why the Chinese American restaurant always have a heavy sauce. Because if you have a heavy sauce, you can have that dish as a singular dish. In other words, you don't need to have any other dish to go with it because you simply take that dish, because with the sauce, you can mix it with the rice. And when you mix it into the rice, then it almost like in some way you can imagine like eating a spaghetti. If you put sauce over the noodles, you can create a dish to be standalone. And of course, in addition to use with rice, you can use it with other food ingredients as well. Now, as you see here, that in order to create a sauce, I usually cook the ingredients almost to its perfect doneness. And then I create the sauce way at the end of the cooking process. This will give me more flexibility. It gives me much better control of how well I want the ingredients to be cooked. As shown here, I stir fry the green bean and the yellow squash until I reach the level of doneness that I want. During this process, I will make adjustments by adding a little bit more water if I want to steam it. Again, it all depends on how I want to cook this dish. Now, the green bean that I use is an excellent green bean for this purpose. It is a green bean that have no string. String beans with no string is kind of like an oxymoron, but it is a new type of green bean, a new variety. And this stringless green bean make it much easier to cook, and they are also less fibrous. So you can stir fry directly and within a reasonable amount of time without having the need to blanch them or to microwave them in advance. This green bean is excellent quality. In fact, I purchased them on sale. Right now they're in season, and they're at 99 cents a pound, which you really cannot go wrong with that. So I continue to cook the green bean until it is almost about done. The next is that I'm going to make a heavy sauce. To create a sauce, I use a cornstarch suspension. The cornstarch water suspension is created by using about 1 part of cornstarch to 3 to 5 parts of water. And it's very much dependent on how thick you want the sauce to be. But usually I'm going to start out with, for this particular dish, I'm going to use 1 part of cornstarch to 4 parts of water. You don't have to worry about the cornstarch suspension to be too thick, because you can always make adjustment to dilute the cornstarch. So with this approach in mind, now I am ready to make the sauce. And there are different ways to create a sauce. One is that you can combine all the ingredients that you want to make the sauce in advance, and then you add them directly to the dish. Now this turned out to be more risky because you do not know how exactly the flavor will turn out because of the different type of food ingredients might react with the seasoning agent in a different way. Unless you have cooked this dish many times and you know exactly how the flavor is going to turn out. The best way is to construct it as you go along. So for this dish, the first thing I want to do is that I want this dish to carry a nice wine flavor. So I'm going to use some wine, and I add the wine to the wok. In fact, I'm going to use the wine as a way to deglazing whatever the ingredients that might stick to the bottom of the wok. And I call it spot cleaning. Basically, I'm using the wine instead of water, and I squirt the wine directly to the surface area that I saw there are things that are burned to the surface. I use the wok spatula as a scraper to scrape off anything that might be attached. Now this turned out to be an excellent way to clean the wok as you cook. After I add the wine, the next step is that to season the dish in such a way that I think how I would like it. And one of the good way to do this is that I will use my oyster sauce, hoisin sauce combination. So first of all, I'm going to add some oyster sauce to the wok. And when I tried to reach out for my hoisin sauce, I realized that I ran out of it. So I'm looking for an alternative. I've tried to think of what sauce might be good to use in substitution for hoisin sauce. Then I realized that I have the Panda Express orange sauce, which has some similarity to hoisin sauce because it also has the sweetness, which I want to bring up the sweetness of the dish. However, one difference is that the orange sauce has a slight sourness to it, but that's okay. I'm going to just add a small amount. And after I add that, I did a taste test. It seems to be reasonable to me. Now you notice that I have quite a bit of fluid in the bottom of the wok, and this has come from the wine. And also I add a bit of soy sauce as well. And so the next step is for me to create a sauce. I pour the cornstarch water suspension directly into the wok, and this will allow me to thicken the fluid in the wok. As you notice that the cornstarch water suspension has a heavy effect on creating the consistency of the sauce, which is much thicker than I would like. Unfortunately, the cornstarch-based sauce is extremely flexible, and you can change the consistency readily, and it is very quick. And all I have to do is to add more water. Now at this point, I have turned the heat of the wok down to low because when I make the sauce, I do not want to overcook the ingredients too much. And this is another reason that it is advantageous to keep your water in a squeeze bottle because I can add precise amount of water to the wok. As I continue to stir the content in the wok, you notice that the sauce starts to thin. And this is a good way to adjust the thickness of your sauce. And I continue to add water until I achieve the consistency that I want. This is very flexible. It provides you a lot of leeway of how thick you want your sauce to be. Now it's very clear that different person will like their sauce in different thickness. After I stirred them for a while, I decided this is the kind of thickness that I want. At this point, I realized that because I have thinned out the sauce, so the flavor of the sauce will change. So I need to do a taste test again, make sure that it is about the right flavor. And most likely because of the sauce has thinned out, it might not have the flavor intensity that I'm looking for. So now I can make the final adjustment by adding the different type of sauces to achieve the final outcome that I want. In this case, I decided I'm going to add a little bit more oyster sauce. And if you want to a little bit saltier, you can add more soy sauce. Or if you want to be a little bit sweeter, and if you have hoisin sauce, that will be a sauce that you can add. Okay, now I have achieved the right flavor as well as the consistency of the sauce that I want. And the final step is for me to combine the other food ingredients that I cooked earlier, which is the beef, mushroom, pepper, and scallions. And just a few quick mix, the dish is ready. Now I'm ready to transfer it to a serving plate. By using this strategy, you can create sauce of any consistency or any flavor that you would like. I post a video each day to help you to make home cooking as part of your daily routine using my fast cooking system. This will make your home cooking practical, efficient, creative, and fun. If you'd like to learn more about this cooking system, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. So keep on cooking. I will see you tomorrow.